When you're surfing, there is this very brief moment when, after you push to get into the wave's motion, you no longer feel the need to push because the wave starts taking you. You no longer struggle because nature is now in control. You let yourself go, and in that brief moment, you feel it. Around 1 year ago, I was doing the last preparations to go on what became one of the most unique experiences of my life. After spending some months back home in Brazil, reconnecting with family, with my friends, with the sun, the beach, and in the process also making beautiful friendships, I returned to Germany. And within 2 days of my return, I had already made my mind. So in the following 4 weeks, I quit my 8-year-long job. I sold and donated most of my belongings and clothes. I purchased a 42-liter backpack and a one-way ticket to Peru. And the following is a little bit about what happened next. After a 12-hour-long flight, and with absolutely no plans in mind, I arrived in Cusco, being greeted by smiles, tears, and long, beautiful embrace from Dina and Dasha, whom I spent the next 9 months adventuring with. Taking a collectivo ride up and down cloudy mountains led me to the town I was staying for the next couple of months. And within 3 hours in my adventures, I was already conquering a fear I had since I was a kid: horses. Located in the sacred valley of the Incas, a 20-minute ride away from Cusco, with a base altitude of 3,000 meters, lays the small town of Pisac. Surrounded by majestic mountains, set up like a chessboard with 9 or 10 blocks in each direction, the main town takes shape in the form of a narrow cobblestone streets, fully populated with local business, cafes, a central market, souvenir shops, and all the very interesting faces of locals and fellow travelers. Here we rented a small hobbit house made out of mud, dried grass, and eucalyptus logs. We volunteered at the horse stable to help take care of horses and maintain the area in exchange for 3 horse riders per week. Each day of the week we seemed to have interesting events going on. Sauna on Wednesdays, kirtan singing on Mondays, ecstatic dancing on Sundays, and a variety of musical events. The general atmosphere of the place was one of uttermost peace and kindness, with a strong community, living simple, exchanging favors, offering holistic activities, and all of that while having a healthy relationship with the local native. Being daily surrounded by the grandiosity and energy of the great apples enhanced even more our senses of exploration and wanting to see what is on the other side. In the course of these 2 months, we ventured into many hikes, waterfalls, lakes, hot springs, and visits to small towns and ancient ruins inside the Sacred Valley region. On the 1st of May, our backpacks were loaded and ready, with hanging cups, a small cooking pot, and our water bottles, all clanking one another, making the traveler's song. After having one last power breakfast from our mamita in the market, we said farewell to Pisac and headed to the bus station in Cusco. Driving through small ghost towns, small cities, and many kilometers of desert, suddenly the view opened up and an endless pale blue color could be seen in the distance. The desert abruptly ended just where it met the Pacific Ocean. That was a sight to behold, a sight we couldn't stop looking at until we reached our first destination, the capital of Peru, Lima. In Lima, we stayed for only 2 days, which were enough to experience the busy city life, as well as the ever so attractive promenade by the Pacific. From here, the only plan we had in mind was to head north, where warmer waters and amazing waves waited for us. We had a few towns marked on our map that we wanted to stop by, and the first one of them was called Huanchaco, near Trujillo. After being denied setting up our tent on the beach by locals, we walked around the town to find a place to stay. That's when we passed by this house with many surfboards and a curious gentleman cleaning his gear. We met Osvaldo, a local old-time surfer with a big smile and an even bigger heart that greeted us and offered us a place to stay. Surfing here was our first taste of cold Pacific waters and rocky beaches, and proved to be quite challenging. Still, for 4 days we would slide ourselves into wetsuits, get our boards, and with trembling teeth smiles, jump into the ocean. On our last morning in Huanchaco, we met a friend of Osvaldo who, after hearing about our backpacking trip, offered us a booking to a 4-star hotel for 3 nights on a beach north of where we were. And that led us to the longest left waves in the world, Chicama. Puerto Malabrigo, better known as Chicama, is a very small fisherman town, mainly known by their traditional ceviche and also having the longest left waves in the world. Arriving at the fanciest hotel in town felt quite funny. With our backpacks still singing the sounds of travelers, we made ourselves comfortable and enjoyed 3 days of guaranteed hot water, comfortable bed, and a warm jacuzzi. Even better than that were the next 10 days we camped at the beach and had the opportunity to meet and spend amazing days with Manolo, Leo, and their dog Barto, living in the only VWT-free bus that I saw in Peru. Together we would often eat breakfast and lunch, share surf sessions, and learn to make macrame bracelets. During this time, we also met and befriended El Zorro, Chicama's surf photographer and equipment rental guy. With him, we rented our boards and wetsuits for the whole week and had access to his bathroom and shower. To get to the main surf spot, one must either walk around 1 kilometer or rent a boat ride that picks you up in front of the beach. We walked every single time, and that also served as a way to warm up before going into the 14 degrees Celsius waters. Surfing here really felt like a playground, easy to paddle in, waves always in organized series, and easy going to drop and have a ride so long it makes your legs sore. In days where the sea was flat, we would hike along the cliffs by the coast and explore the Mars-like landscapes that surrounded the area. Watching pelicans flying and surfing, seagulls making their nests, and the occasional efoil surfer in the distance, composing the perfect picture for one of the most incredible sunsets. Leaving Chicama was not easy, even though we were loving camping by the beach, the great friends we made, and the very easygoing surf. We were eager to feel a bit of warmth. So after 10 days, we returned to the road, this time for a very long bus ride to the north, all the way to Mancora. Early in the morning, we saw ourselves dropping from the bus into a very busy Panamericana highway, surrounded by noisy cars and tuk-tuks, but the first thing we noticed was the heat. Taking in the new energy given by the sun, we had a quick breakfast at the market and headed to the beach, where we would look for our next spot to spend the night. After 1 hour of walking and not much success, we passed by some cool painted doors with small wooden huts inside. We walked in, and in less than 10 minutes talking to the owner, we knew this is where we would stay. Here we spent 25 days soaking in the sun, the waves, making friendships from all around the world, sharing tattoo sessions, chess games, and songs by the fire at night. The sea was finally warmer and wetsuits were no longer needed, so every morning we would wake up and go for a swim, and sometimes go surfing or swimming with the turtles. As the days went by, we kept on making beautiful experiences, exploring the town, meeting people and sharing ice cream cones by the beach, but we realized that soon our visas would expire and we would need to leave the country. Initially, we planned to keep on going north and visit Ecuador, but around that time, massive strikes were happening in the country and the borders were completely closed. Friends who were trying to cross would return some days later saying they couldn't. So in the next 2 days, we very quickly made a plan and followed it. One flight to the Peruvian Amazon and returning to Brazil by boat. Leaving behind the sunny and sandy beaches of the Pacific Ocean and arriving at the incredibly humid and rainy Iquitos felt like a big contrast. With 3 days in the city, we managed to do a little bit of exploration going around the districts near our hostel, visiting the local markets and the riverfront, as well as taking our time to do our preparations to go into the next adventure, going into the Amazon River by boat. With tickets booked, we hopped in the boat, prepared our hammocks tightly knotted to the metal beams, and let our hearts take in this whole unique experience. Two nights floating up the river, observing the forest engulf tiny villages by the shores. In the boat we were served 3 meals per day. They were very basic, but enough to give us energy and allow us to keep on playing another match of chess. A phenomenon I was not aware of was the tide schedule of the Amazon River. Differently from the river of my hometown, where the tide goes up and down 4 times in 24 hours, here in the Great River it takes a whole 6 months to go up and another 6 months to go down. This will heavily dictate the lives of those who depend on the river, as well as how long such boat rides take. For us, we came during the time where the river was going down, making our boat ride almost twice as fast. In the early morning of the 3rd day, we arrived at Santa Rosa, the Peruvian town by the triple border area. Here we had to visit the immigration office to get our passports stamped out of the country. A few moments later and we were doing a 5 minutes crossing of the river to reach the Brazilian city of Tabatinga, where we also had to get our passports stamped into the country. It all felt quite surreal to be in the middle of the jungle with 3 countries, its different people and cultures, but also closely connected. One day we crossed the border of Colombia and spent the day walking around Leticia, and the next day we were back in Brazil, again hopping into another boat and continuing our journey. This boat ride was a bit longer, taking a total of 4 nights to reach its final destination, Manaus. Luckily, this boat had much better infrastructure with clean toilets, more elaborate meals and a large upper deck to chill and appreciate the view. Sitting in the very front of the boat became our daily meditation, observing the waters passing by, seeing how immense this jungle really is, and experiencing the most clear and beautiful night skies of our lives. When the ride seemed like it was taking a long time, we would stop and remember how unique such moments are and how this was truly a one-in-a-lifetime experience. Arriving in Manaus, we were greeted by our friend Marx, who hosted us and showed us around for the next 2.5 weeks. Even though we were right in the middle of the bustling city, we always managed to find ourselves in interesting places during our walks and bus rides. We also traveled to the nearby town of Presidente Figueiredo to visit some waterfalls and different rivers. After the 3 of us got knocked down by chikungunya fever and stayed 4 days in bed, we felt the urge to get back on the road, on the boat, and keep on exploring. This next ride took a total of 2 nights, passing above the famous meeting of rivers, stopping by small towns on the way, and every now and then river dolphins would come up to say hello. Our last destination in this Amazon River journey was the small town of Alter do Chão, near Santarém. A tiny village covered in all sorts of jungle specimens and surrounded by two great rivers. This place felt like a hidden paradise, and in the next 4 days we made sure to make the most out of it. Our first adventure took us across the river, which was still on high tide, towards an island with a great hill sitting above it. So after many months since our last hike, we were back going up to high places. The hill offered an incredible view above the town, the meeting of the rivers, and forests until our eyes could see. The next day we were set to spend it by the water, but this time not on boats. We rented kayaks from local business owners, covered ourselves in sun cream, packed some sandwiches and nuts, a lot of water, and explored the nearby lakes and islands. Kayaking felt very freeing and peaceful, floating by the calm waters, seeing dolphins and the intricate vegetation by the shores. It showed us how much our bodies can be capable of, while still having so much fun and peacefulness. After around 7 hours kayaking, we headed back to our hostel, where we started to make preparations for the next days ahead, where we would start seeing Brazil by the seat of buses. Being back on buses felt quite familiar, and a good change also after 8 days traveling by boat. We arrived safely in São Luís and immediately felt like we needed some time not moving around between cities, but rather taking it slow and allowing ourselves to recharge. The 3 weeks we spent in São Luís were filled with gentle days, walking around the historical center, visiting the local market, making meals with our host Nelson, and often visiting the beach with the warmest waters we've been so far. Since we returned to Brazil and started to travel in the North region, one place in particular was always in our minds and plans: Lençois Maranhenses. Towards the end of our stay in São Luís, we decided to pack everything and finally go on what became one of the most incredible experiences. Instead of renting the touristic package to go up and down the dunes on a 4x4 car, we did what we do best: do it our own way. With hats on, lots of water, food, and our inner lights pulsating with joy and amazement, we walked the desert of dunes for many hours, stopping by every natural pool we passed by to refresh ourselves in the crystal clear waters, bathing our naked bodies, floating in the sweetest waters, seeing the bluest sky above, and giving thanks to life for every second we were being given. Our travels continued with another bus ride of 2 days that took us to the northeastern beach of Pipa. By now, we had crossed the South American region from west to east through its longest span, from the Pacific Ocean of Peru to the Atlantic waters of Brazil. Pipa greeted us with open arms, very sunny days and unexpected cold evenings, warm beaches, great waves, and a lot of new and some old but friendly faces. After a bit of exploration, we found the peaceful nest for the budget traveler, the Gaia Pipa hostel. a large area hidden inside a well-maintained jungle owned by the ever-so-smiley Talassi. Here we stayed for around 22 days, doing some volunteering work, taking care of the place, riding horses, surfing, making pizza with fellow travelers, and exploring this small but very charming town. Pipa gathers travelers from all around the world and offers them a very good mix of easygoing chill days and very busy nightlives in the restaurants and bars on the main road. For surfing, one can venture into the very busy but easy to ride waves of Praia do Madeiro, with plenty of surf schools and board rentals. And if you're more advanced, you can try your luck at the more aggressive waves of Praia do Amor. The coast is mostly composed of beautiful cliffs and rocky beaches, and to better explore, one can take a quad bike tour or get on a horse and ride along the hard sand roads down south. As usual, the inner traveler in us gets curious again and wants to get the feet back on the road. Towards the end of August, we continued going down the northeastern coast of Brazil by bus or by car rides. The first stop was the enormous capital of Pernambuco, Recife. Our stop in Recife was mostly so we could do a research and arrangements for our next destination at some beaches further down south. Still, being located in the historical city of Olinda, we made sure to go on long walks, taking in the sun and the vibrant atmosphere of the place. For a couple of days, we also visited a friend who lived in a town more into the jungle and spent some calming days playing hang drum and relaxing our minds from the chaotic Recife. From here, our next steps went by rather fast. After spending 2 days at the beach of Porto de Galinhas and seeing that the weather forecast was giving clouds and rain for the next few days, we decided to keep on moving and return to the very place where our friendship started. Being back at the tiny town of Atalaia in Aracaju, the place where everything began, felt both natural and at the same time very surreal. All the people, streets and our little house were still there while we went on our travels. Back in this familiar place, surrounded by familiar people, we took our time and allowed ourselves to finally process everything we've been through in the past 7 months of constant traveling. Our daily rituals of meditation, going to the ocean, swimming at the river and jumping from the terminal kept us on our feet. This break felt like a much needed one. This break, though, was the same one that, after our 3rd month there, put us physically apart. Tasha and Dina wanted to keep on the move to a place with better opportunities to do their tattoos and sell their handcraft, as well as keep on exploring this huge country, while I was not ready to leave my hometown just yet. After much thought, pondering and hard decision making, they packed their backpacks, hanging cups and water bottles and followed their inner light spectrum. The next 3 months, after almost a decade, I was by my own. These months were filled with many uncertainties, self-questionings and a lot of time to reflect on life. Some days it felt quite difficult to get motivated to even leave the house, but luckily I had great support from longtime friends and family who would take me in their arms, offer a couch to stay, meals to cook together, and a lot of laughter coming from the most genuine place. The sun, the ocean, and the surfboard were also essential companions during these difficult times. Sitting on my board out in the ocean, surrounded by nature in its most raw form, seeing the sun rise in front of my eyes while I open my arms wide and take in that energy, has to be one of the most profound experiences I am grateful to have. And in that moment, I let myself go. I live the moment and I ride this wave that life is.